Good morning. It is Transformation Tuesday. That can't go there. Good morning. It's Transformation Tuesday. Welcome. Here we go. Welcome. Welcome. I'm your host. This is why it's always on. Okay, there we go. I'm your host, Pamela Denise. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday. We're here to transform our lives by the renewing of our mind. Come on in. Come on in, YouTube. Come on in, YouTube. I'm going to take a couple deep breaths as I prepare and I wait for a couple people to come in. I'm going to take a couple deep breaths because it's what I do and because I haven't prepared anything for you today. When I got up this morning, I wanted to say that, let me turn on my timer. When I got up this morning, I wanted to be like, man, there was about an hour yesterday in my calendar. Usually I'm trying to keep my calendar tight because that's a part of being a good steward of your time, making sure that your calendar is tight. And there was about an hour's worth of time that I allowed myself to meander in somebody else's stuff. I had somebody call me and I ended up got swept away in their stuff. As much as I tried to stay grounded, but I realized I lost an hour. Not tripping, because when I woke up this morning and I was thinking about Transformation Tuesday, of course, I always spend time with the Lord. Hey, speak when you come in, please, and thank you. Thank you for joining. I always spend time with the Lord in the morning. And I'm going to take my time with this today because this is my third Transformation Tuesday. And I find myself rushing sometimes because there is a format when speakers speak, they come with the fast talk because people don't want to hear people talking slow. I get that. You got to keep the people's attention. But I got to stay true to me and my cadence, and I breathe a lot. And I do that because sometimes I think about something that I want to say, but the Lord, or the Spirit of the living God, the Spirit within me, will have me pause to reflect on what I just said or what I'm about to say. So, Transformation Tuesday, welcome. Do me a favor and speak when you come in. I see I got people here. So today we're talking about transformation or confirmation. We're either transforming or we're conforming. And that's real because we live in these United States. That's what I'm going to do with my hands. Because I'm recording up there too. Because we live in these United States and there is a standard. I have my hair cut off. There's a standard of living. There's a standard of success. I live in America, and because I know YouTube reaches all over the globe. And in America, there is an American diet. We'll start there. There's an American diet that we have subscribed to. I want to give some examples of transformation because, or what it looks like, or why it's important to transform. Because if you just go along with what everybody says, because everybody says it, even if it is the country that you live in, then without taking time to listen for yourself, to hear what's real for yourself, you are conforming. So this is why Transformation Tuesday is so important to me. It's so important to me because as I've gotten older in life, as I've gotten wiser in life, I realize that this world that we live in has direct beef with our Creator. And everything that happens here is designed. Nothing happens by coincidence. Nothing. Absolutely nothing happens by coincidence. I think about this social media age that we're in. I think it started around 2009, somewhere around there. I went back and checked because we've not always had social media, but I think about the grasp that it has on us, right? Like the grasp that social media has on us is powerful. Why? Because there are people behind the scenes that are designing the apps to make you stay there. And as long as you stay focused on that, then you're not focused on what it is you're supposed to be doing. we take time away from ourselves, and the only way you can transform is by renewing your mind. I talked a little bit about this American diet, and I know that I'm kind of a little bit all over the place, but bear with me. Give me a moment, please, and thank you. I had a conversation with somebody recently. That's what made me talk about the American diet, because I've been talking about it a lot lately. I've been saying that this food that we are that we're consuming in these United States is killing us. It is killing us. Like that's not just maybe if we eat a little bit less, like we can decide what we eat, but the food is literally intended to kill us. I was thinking about recently how there's a average lifespan for the African American man. There's an average lifespan for the African American woman. There's an average lifespan for the American man. There's an average lifespan for the American woman. How do you determine the average lifespan? I've come to believe that they can determine the average lifespan by the amount of pesticides and poison that they're putting in the food. Oh, I don't want to, like, I can't make no apologies, and I can't sugarcoat this, and I can't make it more palatable. Why? Because your mind has to be renewed. You have to know different things in order to transform. And if you realize that the food, the preservatives, the chemicals that they are putting, the man-made chemicals that they are putting in this food is killing us, that's reason to pause and be like, let me think about something a little bit differently. Because if you just continue to conform on that path, then you will die at the estimated the average lifespan time. It'll happen because chemicals get released in your body, like it breaks down our system. A lot of the foods that we're eating are causing our organs to not function properly. They're putting our body in dis-ease because the chemicals that they're putting in this food is not intended for our bodies. That's why I every time I talk about this, I hear a lot of people say, and we say it so comfortably. Over in these other countries, they ban a lot of the food that they put here. But what are we doing about it? And I'm not saying that we're supposed to go on a campaign about it. I'm not saying, but speak your truth and live your truth. And what living my truth means to me, this is how Transformation Tuesday came about, or this is how the transformation of my life came about. I told myself a few years ago that what I believe in my soul, what I know to be true. How do I know it to be true? Because there's a greater one that lives inside of me. I saw them. I created space for him. And he has shown me that he is real. I read his word. The words jump off of the pages that he speaks to me. He guides me through his word. So my spirituality is not in question. I know it to be true, right? I know that what I believe is not just what I believe. I know it to be true. And I knew some things to be true. Well, no, at that time, I believed some things to be true. I hadn't had the full-blown experience yet. I believed some things to be true. So I said, what I believe in my soul, deep down in the deepest parts of me, what I believe, I want it to look like out here in the world. I don't want to believe that God is all powerful and he created me for an assignment or for specific reasons. And my life is living like, well, this is the job that I chose. I'm doing pretty good at it. So let me just keep doing this. No, like real talk. I literally left my career 27 years. I sold real estate for 27 years and made a decision in the 27th year, the year that my son bought his building. I actually waited. I held on for a year. It was a full circle moment too. Can I share that with you real quick? Of course I can. My son was born in 96 and I had a salon and I was doing nails. I had a salon. I've been self-employed since I was 20 years old. So I had the salon. And when I had this child, I knew the marriage wasn't going to work. And I knew that I was going to have to provide for my child. And I knew that having a salon, in order to make money, I had to be there all day because my clientele was, I was that girl back in the day doing the nails. Like I had a big clientele. Like everybody came from far and wide, no cap, to get their nails done by me. And I knew that if I was going to be a good mother, and I didn't even know my mother was a good mother, so I ain't going to say that. But I knew that if I wanted to raise my child the best way that I could. I needed to be present. Like that's simple. That's simple math. I needed to be present. So I decided to sell my salon and go to real estate school so that in real estate I would have flexibility because in order to make money in salon I had to be there all the time because again people came from far and wide to see me and for me to do their nails. So in order to be there for my child, because you know when you have kids you gotta move around. Sometimes you get a call from the daycare, you get a call from the school, things happen. So when he was born I sold my salon like right away and went to real estate school. Got my real estate license, and in 2020, maybe it was like in 2020 when COVID happened, everybody was affected by that, and so I went into God. Me and my husband 13 years, my ex-husband now, we had separated, and so I went deeper into God. And I'm sure I told you about the book that I wrote, Create Your Great, hashtag you don't get what you want, you get what you create. So let me pause for a minute. Y'all give me a minute. We're gonna take like a little commercial break. In the commercial break, I'm gonna ask you if there's anything in this video that you like, please like it for the algorithm and share it with someone. I'm gonna get going in a minute. Like I know that I'm stammering because I started out, I was transparent. And I told you, so this is not just transformation Tuesday, this is transparency Tuesday. I told you that I didn't prepare notes. So like, share, and subscribe if there's anything here for you. But I went to real estate school and I got my license. And when he was born, and I had to position him to buy a piece of property because I wanted him to buy a piece of property, like not just any piece of property. I wanted him to buy the maximum he can get with the minimum amount down. So I positioned him for that, and he did that. He bought a 4-unit building in June of last year. I stopped selling real estate, and the market got kind of crazy in 2022. And I remember sitting with God, and I was like, I know you called me to do something. I hear it. I have been led to speaking. He had led me to the #1 Speakers Academy in the world. And I knew that was what I was supposed to be doing. Then the market started getting crazy. So sometimes, in order for us to transform, things have to happen because it sounds good to just say, I'm going to make a change and I'm going to start doing this, right? But sometimes conformity is real. Being comfortable is real. Even if you know that you're supposed to be doing something different. Do you know how many people say, since I done started, I'm gonna put it out there, in horrible marriages, not just bad marriages, in horrible marriages because they got 10 years in or 5 years in, or even if, we're not gonna even say marriages, we're gonna say relationships. How people stay in relationships that they know are toxic, unhealthy, they're dying in there, but because they don't wanna start over and do something different and change their mindset, then they just stick it out. It's a horrible place to live. And with real estate had been good to me, but the market was changing and I was changing. I wasn't running from the market because I had sold real estate through the crash in like 2008, 2007. I sold real estate and made it through that, and I knew that I would make it again. But my life was changing because I began to ask different questions. I began to ask God, why am I here? And when he showed me, I couldn't unknow that. And I wrote a book the year before called Create Your Great, hashtag you don't get what you want, you get what you create. And in that book, I said that. Now let me pause for a minute because the book is spiritual. It is transformative, right? I did talk about this book last week. It is transformative. But in the book, I said that if you align your physical, your spiritual, and your mental, all 3 parts, not necessarily in that order, just create space for God so you can hear, because he is the greater one on the inside of you. If you cannot hear what God is saying to you, he's so gracious and he's so patient. He'll find people to talk to you. But if we don't want to hear it or if it's uncomfortable, that's why it's important to create a space, because you don't want your life to be based on what somebody else has to tell you. God, let them tell me. No, listen for yourself. Because if he is inside of you, and he is the very breath that we breathe inside of us. And if he is inside of you, and he is, listen to him. If you create the space to listen, he's going to tell you to do something. I wrote this book before I transformed my life. I wrote it because God told me to. 2016, me and my son were going through some things, and I said, if you take him and care for him, I'll do whatever you want me to do. 2019, he was like, I'm going to need that about you. became hard, and I heard it. So I started writing. I wrote a book that was beyond me. I wrote a book that was deeper than me. I wrote a book that I was going to need to transform my life. But I did it. And the only reason I did really is because it made sense, but I don't want God to go back. I don't want to give him a reason to not have my son. So I did. He had me in a chokehold because I felt like if I did not do it, and as deep as it was, as beyond me as it was, and as uncomfortable as writing that book was, I knew I had to do it. So when I wrote it, I was content. I was like, there is something here. There is something here. And I couldn't ignore it because, and, and I couldn't do nothing with it at the time because I was in a situation, I was in a marriage that I felt like I was dying. And it's hard to say that because my ex-husband is a good dude. Like we're friends to this day. But that don't mean that I was thriving in that relationship. And it's not always about thriving because you will go through things in a relationship. But the soul of who I was dying. And I saw it in one of the last pictures I took. I took a picture at a service. And one of his aunties said, Pam looks really unhappy. He told me that his aunt said that I look really unhappy. And I said, because I am. I'm very unhappy. And we weren't doing anything to change that. So I knew that I had to make a choice. And because of the book that I had wrote, I really didn't know what to do. So we decided to separate. When he moved out, I literally took my own advice and I used that book and began to transform the life that you are now seeing today. And you might be like, "Hey, you ain't really doing nothing." Wait, just wait, because what I know is when you trust God. First of all, I'm having a conversation with myself because I see people here, but y'all not chatting with me, so I just talk to myself, and y'all come back and watch later. But 2 years ago, I was selling real estate full time, and I was good at what I did. But when God told me that I was created to do something different, I was like, that's all I want to do. It's all I want to do is what you said. Because I believe that if God is telling you to do something, that he's going to give you the provision. He's going to guide you if you allow him to. But where it gets tricky is because God is spirit. We really got to listen. We really got to quiet ourselves. In this world, I started with that, got beef with God. So what it does is keeps us extremely distracted. We can't hear. We can't even hear ourselves think half the time, let alone what God is saying. And that's why Transformation Tuesday is so important, because I want to encourage you that when it gets challenging, because it will. I was thinking about a caterpillar today. Y'all please be gracious with me because I know I'm in so many different places. But I was thinking about a caterpillar transform into a butterfly today because I actually saw one. I saw it happening. And when you think about the caterpillar, like it has its own life, like it's doing its thing. It has caterpillar friends, and it caterpillars, right? It does what caterpillars do. But when it's time for it to transform, that is natural. It is when it's time for it to transform, it goes into a deep, dark cocoon. When I tell you, that's how my life felt. I'm here and I'm showing up every Tuesday here. I show up on social media. I show up on Wisdom Says every day on YouTube. I do that because God has instructed me that this is the life that I'm supposed to live. Not that it's supposed to feel good, not that it's supposed to look good. Like when I show up in the world, like people see me, people see the gifts. God is blessing me, he is favoring me. But my truth, these have been like the hardest 2-3 years of my life. They have been the hardest, some of the most challenging 2 years of my life. But I stay steadfast. Why? Because what I know to be true. There have been times, I don't want to make it seem like it's easy, that I just show up like even today, I didn't really prepare anything because I got a little distracted myself yesterday. But I'm going to show up because I know that I got something to say, because I know that my life has been transformed. When I first decided to do this, like I was gung-ho. I'm like I knew that I was created to speak. My mother told me when I was a kid, she said that your mouth is going to be the blessing or the curse for you because you talk all the time. Like I never stop talking. That's literally like you'll hear stutter come out sometimes because I get excited about what I'm about to say and my mind goes faster than my mouth. So that's another reason I stop and take deep breaths to control my cadence. It's important. So I was talking about the transformation of the caterpillar to the butterfly. God has instructed us to do the exact same thing. There is a life that we're living based on what the world says, the standards that the world says. All of us are trying to be successful. Can I say, can I get somebody to raise their hand and show me some love in the chat if we're all striving to be successful? Because we are all striving to be successful. But what does that success look like? If there's a cookie cutter standard for success, then we're all striving for the same thing, and that's the clothes, the house, the cars, the vacations, the money in the bank. Hopefully, not just the appearance of, but the money in the bank. There's a standard of success. And the truth is, if we don't know what it is that God has created us to do, because I had reached a standard of success, not just once, but thrice. I had reached not just once, twice, but thrice. I had started selling. I started doing nails when I was 20 years old. I had my own business, and I left doing nails to sell real estate. I've sold travel. So I've done really well in my life at young ages to now. So it's not about the things or the money for me ever, because I know that if I do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm not even just talking about spiritually, if I put the work in, the money gonna come, because I know how to hustle, right? I know how to hustle. But this transformation was different because I couldn't just hustle my way out of it. I couldn't just work my way out of it. This transformation required some stillness. This transformation required for me to listen to what God said before I moved. That's a different type of transformation, and I'm willing to do it. And I'm encouraged you to do the same thing, because it will get uncomfortable. It will get challenging. It will get really, really hard. But you got to make a decision and be like, and I'm gonna speak for you. I'm gonna speak for myself. What else? What else is more important? Because there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" So the only way we can transform our lives, and we are all created specifically for a reason. God, when God designed you in your mother's womb, there were some unique characteristics that He placed in you and on you. And then He brought you out into this world, placed you in your family structure, and said, this is what He created you for, these reasons, for specific reasons. And your personality, your style, the way you dress, the way you talk, you are designed and created for a specific reason. I know I am. I struggle with it sometimes. From a child, like, I always was told that I do the most. Like, I talk a whole lot. God uses that clearly. Even when it comes to my look, I am a fashionable person. I am a beautiful person. Like, can I say that? I'm gonna ask for permission. Or do we have to wait for other people to tell us that we're beautiful? I know what I look like. I look in the mirror every day. It's not my go-to though. But in this season of my life, because I play it down, my hair comes like this. I come out, I don't do a whole lot, because my whole life, it wasn't a curse, but she thinks she is what I got my whole life. She thinks she this, or she thinks when people will be uncomfortable around my pretty, and I would have to tone it down. I didn't have to, but I did. I toned it down a lot. But I've decided in this season that I'm going to allow God to use everything that He gave me, because He gave it to me. And I'm still figuring it out. But in the interim, I'll be here. I'll be here sharing. I'll be here sharing my testimony. I'll be here sharing my experiences. We can't conform. We can't conform, because it's almost like we're in not just an assembly line, but on a hamster wheel. Could you imagine that? An assembly line and a hamster wheel at the same time, because we're robots. Like, I talked to a guy the other day about this American diet. It broke my heart. Like, it literally broke my heart. And I tried real hard to be not emotional, but not to allow my face to show different expressions, because I was listening like, are you serious? talking about this food that we eat. And I talk about it a lot, so I'm going to always get back to it because I got a grandbaby. And they're putting chemicals, man-made, a lot of man-made chemicals in babies' food, causing babies to have high cholesterol, causing babies to take medicine from the age of 3 years old for the rest of their life because of the food that they're putting in it. And if parents don't stop and think that I gotta do better for my child, then well, it's baby food. Just get a baby the food. Just get a baby the food. Like it's conformative. There are scientists. This America that we live in, y'all bear with me. This America that we live in, like is dedicated to making us a superpower. Why is America the best country in the world that everybody says? Because of the money. Because of the money. America is the strongest power. Everybody always said it because of the money. So I'm talking to this guy, and it was a young lady and a guy that I was talking to, and I was talking about how I'm trying to leave. I'm gonna put it out there because my life transforming, and because if I believe something, I want my life. I said that if I believe something, I want my life to look like what I believe. So I believe these Americans are trying to kill us. Why? Because they want to stay a superpower. They want to keep us addicted to this horrible food. They want to keep us addicted to these social medias so we can be robots. And they want to keep us addicted to their medicines. That's how they make the money. That's how they make the money, the medicine. Big pharma is a big business. And we were talking about that, and I was saying that, like, I don't want to just talk about it because I get sick of hearing myself say that I want to leave it. And I've only been saying it for about a year. I started out saying it like once a month. Then it was like twice a month. Now it's every day. Now it's several times a day. And we were talking about the food. And I said, well, I don't believe in staying in a relationship. And I'm in a relationship with these United States. We have a relationship. I'm here. I'm one of their citizens. We relate, right? I don't believe in staying in relationships where I'm not cared for or I'm not loved. And these Americans don't care nothing about us. Like, they're literally killing us for profit. So I said that in a conversation with a guy, and I know it sounds harsh. People don't want to hear, like, it's hard to hear. They go, oh, Pam, you got to be so hard. Like, don't say it like that. Well, how else do you say it? How else do you say it? When you know the truth is what's going to make you free. And you can do what you want to do with that truth, right? So I said that these Americans are killing us, and I don't want to be here long. So I'm actually making a way of escape. I'm trying to move. I'm trying to leave. What about your family? What about your grandbaby? Well, my truth is, my hope is to be successful enough because I am doing the will of God that I can move my family to. Give them an option. They can come or not come. But my goal is to create a space in a different country that is more caring to their citizens, that I want to open a door that all my family can come. That's my truth. Other people have done it. Like, it only takes money, and money is the least valuable form of currency. So if you transform your life by the renewing of your mind, by God's word, God knows what I want. He put this desire in me. He's going to allow it to happen. But again, I'm talking to this guy, and he was like, yeah, that is true. That is true. But then he said, wait a minute. This is the best country in the world. He told me that in one breath, that he knows that it is true that they're killing us. And big pharma is big business. But this is the greatest country in the world. If that is not programming at its best, I don't know what is. You know that your abuser is abusing you. You know that they are trying to kill you to make profit. You know that they have set your lifespan for a certain amount of time so that you can get on these medicines and make sure it's a cycle. It's a cycle. But yet you say it is the best country in the world. Well, what makes it the best country in the world was my question. Well, the money. Like, think about the other impoverished countries, the ones that we try to go to all the time. When we get a break from work and we go on vacation, where are we going? To those impoverished countries because they're beautiful, right? Because they have good food, the healing is there. So we go from this best country in the world to take a break to these impoverished countries. Think about that for a moment. I think about it all the time. And it is why I'm here, helping you to transform your life by the renewing of your mind. Y'all with me? Somebody let me know you with me. Speak in the chat. Hey, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. So, I think that's it I got for that's all I got for today. There's so much more. There's so much more. Like, let me see. I want people to speak to while I'm here because I try to show up and be live for a reason. But here's my truth. I'm going to be here. And if you build it, the people will come. I said I was selling real estate 2 years ago. I don't even have people coming to me no more for real estate. For about a year and a half, people said, Pam, that's not true. Somebody came to me last week. They were like, Pam, I need you. I need you. Just not even a whole week ago. Because they don't see me on these platforms, right? It's a friend of mine's mother. They don't see me on these platforms. So they still see me as a real estate broker. But the person whose mother it is, they know that I'm not doing anymore. And Pam, my mother needs your help. And I don't have the capacity, but I can refer you to somebody. But I said that to say, when you transform your life don't even look like what it used to look like. Like, people are not coming to me for real estate anymore. But if they do come to me, I have a reliable source that I can refer them to, and she can help them. So, but I'm not doing that. And people, okay, well, here we go. Y'all working with me on Transformation Tuesday? People will try to keep you in the place that they met you. I talked about the caterpillar. Yeah, I talked about the caterpillar and how uncomfortable it is and how they started out with caterpillar friends. But once they came out of that dark, moist space, that cocoon that they were in, once they came out of that, they weren't hanging out with caterpillars no more. And sometimes when we're transforming our life, we try to hang out with the people that we used to hang out. We try to hang out with the caterpillars. You know how silly that would look for caterpillars to hang out with butterflies? Ridiculous. And it looks just as ridiculous for us to hang out with caterpillars when we're now butterflies. Well, when you are trying to become a butterfly, there's a transformation that happens in that dark space, in the damp darkness. There's a transformation that happens and you come out altogether new. Imagine if that didn't happen. Imagine if that didn't happen. If you didn't have that dark cocoon to go into it. How could it happen? I just spoke to myself right there. I'm not tripping. I know that my life is transforming. I know that it has transformed. And I know that it's challenging to do so. But I was sitting with the Lord today, thinking about the fact that I hadn't prepared anything to speak to the people. And he said, just share your story. Tell about your life. This morning, I got up and I rolled over and I got ready to recite my crown covenant. It's something that I recite every day before I step out into the world. It protects me. It guides me. It preserves me. Because when you get out in this world, like 95% of the stuff that you hear is going to be negative. Like it is how the world is dark. And it's intended to keep you stressed, frustrated. If the enemy can't have your soul, because the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus came that you might have life and that more abundantly. So if the enemy is the rule of this world at this time, and Jesus came that you might have life more abundantly, there is some transformation. There's some work that you don't have to do in order to get closer to the Savior who has redeemed us from this world, these world systems, this world's darkness. We are redeemed if you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ as your Savior. And this morning I got up and I got ready to recite my crown covenant. But I had some things on my heart. So before I recited the crown covenant, I talked to the Lord. And I was like, listen, I'm feeling away. I need some things to happen. I need you to show up for me. And I stayed there. I took some deep breaths because I was feeling what I was feeling. Then I recited my crown covenant and I got up. And sure enough, when I got up to spend time with the Lord, I'm reading my Bible and he's talking to me. And as I'm reading, he's talking to me through his word because he is his word. He told me that I was whole. He told me that he was with me. And this is where the transformation comes from. You got to know, because what I know to be true in this world is that it's dark. I know that there is an assembly line. I know that they're mass producing robots. I know that we're on a hamster wheel trying to get to something, success, but I know that it's all in vain. I know that to be true. I know people who are, even myself, when I have had a lot of money, traveling, I was still chasing something. The vacations, the clothes is gonna make me feel good. Like when you show up in the space and you looking good and you get to travel. And now we get to post it on social media. Everybody gets to see it. Like we're chasing something, but what we're chasing is peace. What we're chasing is joy. What we're chasing is wellness, being whole from the inside out. That's what we're chasing. So what we're chasing, we already have. So God spoke to me when I was reading. He reminded me of what's real. He reminded me of what's true. So I leaned into it and said, I'm going to show up and I'm going to still talk to the people. So I know for certain that I've been all over the place today. But I hope you got something, because the truth is, the lives that we're looking for, sometimes we don't even know to look for it. Facebook showed me a memory from about a year ago, this past week. I think yesterday, it showed me a memory that God has allowed me to live a dream that I didn't even know to dream. A few years ago, I could have never seen myself speaking. I didn't get paid to speak. Just so you know, I'm not just showing up on YouTube. I'm a speaker. I'm a speaker and a coach. I'm an alignment coach. I help people align their physical, mental, and spiritual being. Well, maybe I should let you know that, because I do have openings, and I know that people are trying to align. And this is just part of my assignment. And I'm always be in these spaces to give you value, whether you're a client of mine or not, because this is what my assignment. I remember when I first came on YouTube, it was in January of 23. Now, I had a channel before then, because I had an assistant who was my baby cousin, and she was telling me about I had to get on these platforms. This was about 5-6 years ago. She's like, you gotta get on these platforms, because the platforms where they are. So I got on there, but I had like 200 subscribers. But in the December of 2022, I remember God told me they can't hear me. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, I heard him clearly say, they can't hear me. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? And he said, because I'm talking to you, go over to YouTube and sit with them, show them. Actually, he told me, he said, it's called the Well Reset. Help them to reset the well of their being. And I'm like, Well Reset? I didn't really like the name. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I knew how I reset the well of my being. I created a space and I showed up every day for 5 minutes. I read scripture. And I was like, okay, I hadn't even started keeping a gratitude journal at that time. But I showed up every day and God would speak. And he said, do that. So I did it. I was so uncomfortable. When I say that it was the most uncomfortable thing that I'd ever done, I showed up, I recorded the videos, and I did it for 31 days. It's still there. You can check it out. It's called The Well Reset. And I did that. And he was allowing me to lay the foundation. So it's still out there, and it's still helping a lot of people today. So when God tells me to do something, I'm going to do it, because it's not just about one particular thing. There's a bigger picture. So if God is telling you to do something, I know it's going to be uncomfortable. But the reason it's uncomfortable, because the world has put all this stuff on us. When we were kids, we didn't care what people thought about us. We didn't care what people thought about us. But we have gotten to this place where we have to look, we have to sound a certain way. We have to show up, we have to look a certain way in order to do. I think about Tabitha Brown all the time. And I'm going to say, because I think about Tabitha Brown all the time, because she is an example of obedience. Even with her dialect, like her accent that she has, which is so endearing to everyone. But she had in her mind that the people wouldn't accept that. So she tried to talk more proper and get rid of her accent. And I heard her husband say one time that was the biggest problem that he had, that she couldn't be herself. Well, if you're not yourself, who are you? Who are you trying to be? Because and who shows up in the space? Could you imagine if she code switched Continue. Well, I could imagine. And I'm glad that she didn't, because when you code switch, nobody shows up, and God created you holy in his image, in his likeness. And when you come out into this world and you're trying to be somebody else, who are you? Because you're not them. You're not who you're trying to pretend to be, and you're definitely not yourself. So nobody's there. Like, you are really showing up in a space and nobody there. One of my coaches taught me that. Like, if you're not being yourself and you trying to be somebody, like, I have a picture in my mind. I want to show up. I remember when I recorded my book on Audible, Create Your Great. Hashtag you don't get what you want, you do what you create. I decided to record that on Audible because I like Audible books, and I'm like, it's not fair for me to put something out here in the way I like to listen, because other people like Audibles, make it easy for them to listen to as well. Well, I never recorded an Audible book before, and I didn't know who I was supposed to sound like. I didn't know who I was supposed to sound like. I was supposed to sound like myself, right? But I had just listened to Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. So I made sure my cadence was real, my dialect was clear, that people can hear me. And so I wasn't trying to sound like Michelle Obama, but I wasn't trying to sound like myself either. I really didn't know who I was supposed to sound like. I was supposed to sound like Pam. So take that with you. Transform your life. Allow your mind to be renewed. Listen to what God has to say, because there is some specific, I almost say specificity. There's specific things that he has created you for. There's some specific things that he has called you to. And it will be uncomfortable getting to it. But trust and believe. If you stay true to yourself, if you stay true to your Creator, he will allow you to show up in all the spaces and be all the things that he created you to be. I told God today, I said, listen, because it ain't about the money for me, because money's coming. And I say that all the time, because it is not. I am very well taken care of. I eat well. I have a beautiful home. I stay fly. It ain't about the money for me. For me, I really want to do what God has created me to do. God has given me a gift of speaking. He has put a lot of wisdom inside of me. And I know that to be true. And sometimes it gets a little frustrating when I'll be like, God, I'm doing it. I'm doing the things that you want me to do. And it feels like there's no real momentum taking place. So I asked him today, I said, allow my gift to make room for me and bring me before great people. Bring me before great men. I could only pray that prayer and ask him for that if my mind was renewed, because that is his word that I prayed back to him. He said, your gift will make room for you and bring you before great people. So I asked him that. Allow my gift to make room for me and bring me before people, great people. So this trend, I have a podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and I live out my journey in real time on that podcast. It's called the Scales of Life Podcast. Tap in, because it'll allow you to see a little bit more where I started to where I am. And here, you'll be able to see where I'm going. So thank you all for bearing with me in this rambling session of Transformation Tuesday. I'll be here again live next week, next Tuesday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Share this video. Maybe not this one. I don't know. Like it. But subscribe to the channel. And watch out for Transformation Tuesdays, because I'll be here next Tuesday, every Tuesday, until the Lord says so, at 8 o'clock. Until next time. Peace, y'all. Thank you for joining.